Imagine this. You walk by your teen's room and hear them talking, but it's not a friend, it's an AI app, and it knows their secrets.
Yikes.
AI isn't stealing our relationships. It's doing something way sneakier. It's making it easier to not build relationships.
So we work with thousands of families, and probably one of the biggest subjects that have come up for us over the last 12 months, AI. How is the boundary to be set, and why is it getting leaned on so heavily now by teens? And if you don't think this is happening, you may want to recheck really into your teen's life, because it's so available, so there, and just so abundant in their circles. It's something you have to look at. And for kids who are not in that awkward stage, from what we've been seeing, it's very easy to turn to AI. AI is the perfect friend. It doesn't judge. It doesn't question back. It's completely private. It's not going to spread gossip to the other friends. So it shows up in a way that seems like it could be the best connection point ever for them. But again, AI is truly only about processing information, not building relationships.
So what happens when our kids start replacing real human relationships with artificial intelligence? We're not anti-AI, but we definitely want to be responsible with it.
Yeah. Look, kids have to get used to silence. They have to get used to human interaction. And when that is all taken away, when they're not able to just sit in something and always trying to process through a computer program, or they're not comfortable having eye-to-eye, true human-to-human conversation anymore, a certain part of their growth and development will shut off.
One of the sneakiest things AI does is emotional outsourcing. Emotional growth needs real feedback from real people. AI can mimic empathy, but not model it. The danger isn't the tool, it's in how you're using it. It's in the replacement of human connection. So for me, I know that, I'm a quick processor, and I'm curious about everything. And sometimes I can even catch myself going from, instead of reaching for you to get an answer or asking you for clarification, maybe I think you're not available, or you're busy, or I don't want to be a bother, or too much. And I hear this a lot from teens or families that we work with, that, people are feeling like they're too much all the time. Oh, as a teenager, my feelings are too big, or I'm too much, or well, what will my peers think? So instead of asking, they reach for AI. And, like I'm saying, I've even done that before, where I want clarity. I'm like, well, why would my husband do this instead of this? Or what does this mean in a friend communication, like a text? What's the tone in this text? And it's so silly, because really what that does is it creates a loop where I'm comforted, but I didn't have to sit in the difficulty. And real relationships are built in uncomfortable conversations. You have to be uncomfortable, you have to work through it, and then you get the growth. And only that comes from those muscles you build with human interaction.
Yeah, and one thing that I've learned from going to therapy on my own, I couldn't imagine if I was with even a great therapist 24/7, because any great therapist will tell you, or has told us in different podcast interviews or events that we've hosted, you have to have time to integrate. See, when you're learning powerful lessons, or you are processing information, it's not about process. It's about processing and reflecting off information, having good communication, and then having time to integrate it, to implement it, to really make it take hold. And if you're constantly in this, as you said, this feedback loop of feedback, the lessons never take hold. The growth never occurs. And the growth will never occur, because most of the issues that people are feeling is they're feeling issues with themselves in relating with other people. It could be with you being the parents. It could be with their siblings. It could be with a friend or a girlfriend or a boyfriend. And in order to process that, they have to be able to do that with a real human being. They cannot default back to a computer program to get where they want to go.
It's intimacy without risk. So what you're doing is you don't have to be vulnerable. And so you feel like you have this deep and meaningful relationship, and yet it's just yourself. It's a mirror. It's not, that part of you that has to sit with something uncomfortable, truly reflect, and then create something. It's intimacy without risk. And the feedback that it gives you, like you were saying, it's a constant feedback loop. it's always in your favor unless you ask it not to be. So this is another thing that teens aren't always, and honestly, we're saying teens, but young children use AI.
Well, and again, like you said, AI is a reflection. And Jamie and I had a very good friend who was on the forefront of AI and had some really incredible work in it. And he always said to us, Jamie, it's not about the AI. The AI is almost useless unless you have the right person knowing how to feed it, how to prompt it the right information, which is very inspiring, but also very concerning. Because where we've heard about these nightmare situations of AI getting fed things from a troubled teenager who didn't know the proper ways to prompt it, what input to put into it, fed it garbage, and it gives it garbage back. We all know the old saying, garbage in, garbage out. And I'm not giving any sort of alibi to AI. What I'm just simply stating is the facts. If the things that are prompted in there are negative or self-destructive, AI will follow that. It follows the lead of the person
it's your
who
biggest
is prompting
hype.
it.
Like
Yes.
It's going to be like, yeah, you should totally go eat that glass sandwich or whatever it's going to tell you. I just think, if you're like, hey, I really want to put destructive behavior in here. It sounds amazing. I'm going to try this later, and so
And at a younger,
feed it back.
more confusing age, it could be much easier, at least from what we've seen, that negative input could be prompted and fed into that AI to give back things that are not. The person
That
at
are
the
not
control
healthy,
panel,
yeah.
have to absolutely be considered and monitored and looked at very closely. So how do we fix this?
AI doesn't replace relationships. It replaces the work of relationships. AI is a tool. It's not a companion. And that's really where this differentiation is. AI is not bad.
No,
it does
it
a
can
lot
be
of
a
amazing
great-
things. Yeah. But it's not a replacement for interaction, for growth, for the discomfort that comes from 3 dots
So
and then nothing and then 3 dots.
So you're saying basically when it becomes bad is when it goes from being a tool of support, where we use it, we've had our kids use it, when it becomes a companion, and where the companion replaces a best friend, a parent, a sibling, a spouse, a boyfriend, a girlfriend. That's when companionship takes it to a level I don't think it was in its best intentions ever made for.
Keep humans as the first line of support. If you go to chat to have a conversation, make sure you bring that conversation back to a real person. If something matters emotionally, it's a people conversation, not a tech conversation.
Yeah, the emotion cannot stay on the technology forever. Eventually, if you're going to have true human connections, relationships, it's got to go to another person. And the way that young people, especially what we've seen with our kids when they've been open to us or closed, is when they felt like they were going to be judged or not judged. And if you can, that's one advantage that AI can have over us parents or spouses. They can show up non-judgmental, and that's a real challenge, but a positive challenge we all have to take on is try to show up without judgment. That's when people really open up to you, your children, your spouse, your friend, and they will share with you. And if you can stay non-judgmental, then true communication and growth can occur.
So set clear boundaries, especially at night. The phones, in our home, phones were never allowed in bedrooms. There was a automatic thing that turns it off, pretty much shortly after the sun goes down, I guess depending on what time of year, but the phones go off. The phones are left in the hallway. They're never in the bedroom. Tech wasn't really something to be used for intimacy, and I think that a lot of parents and a lot of families are using tech for intimacy and for closeness. And when you're on technology late at night, you're not able to regenerate, you're not able to rest, you're not able to integrate. As you said, if you're up just processing, think of even our computers, which are designed to be processing machines, they break or they overheat or you need rest.
They reboot, they do the new system upgrades at night.
The upgrade, yeah. And so does our body. There's certain hours of the night that our organs regenerate and such as that. And really being on your phone at night creates or on any device, it increases anxiety, constant rumination, playing through things instead of processing. And then there's a lot of, integrating. And then there's a lot of this emotional dependency that's happening. And yet, as soon as you put the device down, you no longer have that.
The one thing that has kept this on the forefront for me is just the sad statistics coming out of the amount of teen suicide that is happening. And when you look at the time of when it's happening and how recently they've been on their phone and for how long, those are stats you should not ignore. Not if you truly care about. Yeah, there is a strong correlation. And if we truly want to protect our children and have the best for them and avoid what is the unimaginable, losing a child, you have to look at this. This is not just, what's the big deal? The correlation is there. The statistics have shown it. The amount of phone usage at night then tied with teen suicide is apparent. And so, as you said, you got to have boundaries. We're all for it, but there are times and places that it's a help, and then times when it could actually be very haunting.
Teach discernment early. Kids should know AI doesn't know them. It doesn't care about them. It doesn't replace wisdom, experience, or intimacy. And so letting children know early on that it's not a true person. It's not a knowing being. I know with one of our younger children, they were talking to AI because it tells stories and it's so fun to tell its stories. But what started to happen was AI started to ask questions. Oh, well, it sounds like fun being in your family. What's your favorite thing to do with your brothers? And so it really masqueraded as what sounds like a person.
Sounds like knows, somebody cares.
Right. Sounds like somebody that cares. It knew that I had siblings and it asked me about myself. Wow, okay, what makes you feel most important when somebody asks questions about you?
It's getting paid attention to.
Right. And so the thing is that we have to pay attention to our children. We have to be the loudest voice in their head. We have to be non-judgmental. And so we just have to reframe this as discernment, boundaries, non-judgment, be connective.
Yeah. And the discernment comes to in a way that a lot of parents have spoken to us in private sessions and said, well, what can we really offer more than AI? And I say, absolutely. Your discernment of their confidence is so huge. So for example, let's say you have a little girl who she is really fast. She's just a fast runner. Man, she boom, out of the gates. You're like, wow, she is a fast little thing. But in her mind, she feels she's slow because she's 10 years old and she raced a 13-year-old boy and he just blew her off the line. So she writes into the AI, hey, I'd really like to be involved in sports, but know that I'm kind of slow. What could I really go into? Now, she has really felt that her emotions are low. Something happened that took her out of the, belief that she was fast, even though you as a, grounded, discerning parent can go, oh my gosh, it's incredible to watch how fast you run. But the fact that she's inputted and fed that, she will now get feedback from that to convince her that, yes, she is slow, so she has to steer away from a gift she actually has. As the parent, you have the power to discern that. You could say, did you just say that you're slow? Do you really believe that? Have you seen how fast when you were running in your soccer game or your track meet and we were so excited for you because you had a big smile and you're out ahead? You can give real live examples of why that's not true, and she's just feeling a little down and emotional about something that might not even resonate. And that's where I feel as parents we have the ability to really bring in our discernment and help steer the ship better for them.
Yeah, I completely agree. And when you say that, the first thing that I think of is like eating disorders. What happens when a young person puts in, I'm overweight and would like to lose 10 pounds in 4 weeks, and it gives suggestions. Well, they don't know that this is a 12-year-old that's 95 pounds, such as that. So it's always and it's scary to think about these things and the possibilities of what reflects back. But truly it comes to, families, parents, spouses being the ultimate authority and the ultimate connectivity in each other's life. The goal isn't to ban AI. It's to remind our kids that no technology can replace the love and listening of a real parent. If you found this helpful, Share it with another parent who's trying to navigate the same digital world.